looking at the fields or the people that work in the fields remind me of a farmer. There's this story about a farmer in Germany who opens a book on Kant and his philosophy. And then after reading the first page, just closes the book and says, yeah, it would be nice to be able to worry about these things. For me, philosophy started when I was about 7 or 8. I remember asking my mom, why did we exist? It didn't make sense to me. It's like, what's the meaning of life? And she couldn't answer it. She answered to the best of her possibilities. So that wonder was never quenched. So I pursued philosophy because of that, I believe. Philosophy is not just a class you take in school and get a grade in. I think that philosophy, which is the love of wisdom, is an everyday lifestyle that you embrace. If you're teaching students to critically think and look at the moral dimensions of cases, then that becomes a habit. And it's no longer something you have to do when your teacher tells you for 45 minutes. So I think they're getting exposed here to a whole different experience of thinking.
We had almost 2,700 students across the country and in Canada participating in the bowl. 335 teams representing 218 schools.
That's an admirable act. It's standing out against the societal norm. But the sad reality is it puts them at a disadvantage. Therefore,
forensic debate, which is what I did in high school and what I was most comfortable with, is very adversarial. It's like being in a court of law. If they don't refute your evidence, they lose. And Ethics Bowl is non-adversarial.
That's another feature of debate that I usually see is you flip a coin for the position you have. So there really isn't much stake in it, whereas in Ethics Bowl you're forced to develop a position you actually believe and you're tested on it.
In other countries' well-being, if theirs is struggling more, or if they have...
So one thing that I think is really special and unique about the High School Ethics Bowl is just how relatable the cases are to the students. So we're not talking about like nuclear codes or alliances with other governments. We're talking about, can you loan your gym card to your friend even though you know that like the policy says don't do that? Can you listen to a musician knowing that their values don't align with yours? So just cases that they've probably experienced so they can connect to them.
So let's just say that the question is right. Somehow we find a case where...
My name is Kyle Robertson. I am the Assistant Director of the Center for Public Philosophy at UC Santa Cruz, and I'm also a lecturer in the philosophy department. The High School Ethics Bowl has been growing in a very satisfying way, but particularly among private schools and schools that already have active debate teams. But we also really want to reach out to schools that don't have debate opportunities and kids who don't have the chance to argue and talk about these sorts of issues.
To bring something like the Ethics Bowl to public schools that have a very small resource base, that have a student population that doesn't have a lot of resources at home, is in many ways a radical departure. It says that these kids also have the right, not just the right, but the absolute need to learn about these questions because they are also going to be making decisions about the future of this country as adults. And I think what the Ethics Bowl can really do is to take those kids that are A, not used to expressing their opinions, and B, often taught that their opinions aren't important at all, to even once just say, okay, well, this is what I think, and this is why. Even if it's only once, can be really transformative.
We have these really impressive undergrads in the humanities, sharp as can be and well-versed in critical thinking, articulating and engaging with ideas, but they're hungry to do more than just write papers in their classes. And so some of the most advanced are coaches for the High School Ethics Bowl, and they're some of the most effective coaches that we have.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Does anyone know what's separate? Plus or minus signs. Good job. Plus or minus signs. So here's 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of them.
Oscar Pedraza Gomez, and I'm a 9th grader at Ceiba. I have an F in speech, I have an F in geography, an F in math, an F in study skills, I think. I'm doing pretty bad. I have like almost all Fs. My dad works in the fields, and my mom, she works at Chili's. They always tell me like, school is everything, and I have to like do good to like be someone, make money and stuff. I think it's true, but like, yeah, don't like school.
Finish that later.
Get your cases, your outlines. We'll go over all that today. And hopefully we can get you to debate one another.
Oscar was at one time and may still be at risk of repeating the 9th grade. I think I've seen him be so unmotivated and just kind of jaded by the whole experience. He's very interested in lacrosse, and he's interested in a lot of other things, sports, but not really school. And so to see him staying after school and coming to lunch meetings and spending time thinking about all these issues is so great.
What's your question?
I was going to ask, because I remember one of these.
So the first part is going to be for you to understand what greenhouse gas emissions is. Because you have to remove yourself from this environment or from what you immediately see and put yourself at something that's affecting the whole world.
Sometimes in classes they just like give you cases, and sometimes they're like not that like interesting, but like Ethics Bowl has like a lot of variety in it, like different ways it can go.
Do you think that with the lifestyle that we live, we are in some way responsible for how this lifestyle affects those nations? There you go. Get to work. Put your arguments in there.
So in debate, in other debate formats, the goal is to convince the judge that you're right. In Ethics Bowl, the goal is to convince a panel of judges that you thought well about the cases.
So that was the paperwork stuff. I'm going to make sure I get it in the permission form.
We're here to dig deeper. We're not here to just state an opinion.
The question is whether or not she should report him to TSA. And when I first read it, I thought, obviously she should report him.
They start off with the opinion. How do I feel about this? What's my gut level reaction? And then that's when the process of digging begins.
During Ethics Bowl, it was raised, where does religious freedom come into it?
And developing nations also play a part.
Yeah.
How's that practice round going?
Nervous, just nervous.
What are you nervous about?
What's the ethics bowl thing?
You like basically like looking at a case and you're trying to see if it's like what's right and like, what's wrong. Like, is it right for her to like change him and make him go to heaven, or like is it like not necessary?
I think it's not necessary, kind of.
Why?
Because I don't know. He didn't do anything bad, did he?
What do you mean? She's going on a slippery slope. She loses her job. She goes homeless.
I and she's not supposed to do that.
So you're switching? Stumped.
It's not about the tournament, it's about how it changes them as a person. We want people who care about their world and know why they care and are willing to advocate for what they care for.
As a nurse at a hospital that is not religious, this is not in her job description in any way.
This man is planning on doing something wrong. He has a weapon, he has a bomb. So if she does not do her duty, she's going against herself.
Roles, eventually these roles would not exist.
Did you think that they have the right to refuse, or that you should still make the cake?
I've seen this light.
Can't effectively isolate their people from.
See them go, wait, I get to decide why it's good, if it's good.
No less of a moral obligation to help their own people.
I think we send a lot of kids out of high school just kind of ready to accept what already is, rather than try to change things.
Now the question is from case 8. Do developed nations have a moral obligation to provide assistance and reparations to less affluent countries for the damage affluent countries have inflicted on the climate? You now have 5 minutes to present your case, starting now.
So thank you. This case is about, so scientists are in agreement that humans have caused climate change and it's affecting future generations.
In the last round, I want to say it was one of the SEBA teams, and they really were struggling. They froze multiple times, just trying to get yourself to say something in that moment. The momentum of the silence can be deafening. And like we're waiting in anticipation. You know, just say something, anything. You know, just repeat the last points. Your heart really feels for them. You want them to succeed. Everyone wants them to succeed. And at that, he just rose up.
We think developed nations have a moral obligation to provide assistance because they are the ones that created the problem, even though they didn't know they were doing it at the time.
And they got forward and they got through it. And yeah, it was a couple stilted moments.
So you have to fix what they created in a way.
And we also have to think as generation-wise.
That it was the moment for him.
And let's say he is that type of religion and then
because you're telling them that this is okay, this is right. Furthermore, I believe
It's correct for them to just not do anything while the other countries are suffering at their expense.
Listening to their discourse actually changed the way I handle such topics as a teacher. They convinced me through the force of their argumentation that I should be thinking about different things in my teaching. And when your students can teach you something like that, I can't put a price on that.
I jump on Ariana's backside.
All 5 teams did really well and left the event with a lot of enthusiasm. 3 of those teams joined our regional this last season, including Salinas High School, which did fantastically and came into the top 4 teams at the regional this year. The event went so well that we received a grant to do it again this spring with 10 new schools that also serve underprivileged populations.
This event was really about 3 things. It was about a new and I think really special kind of debate activity that's just starting to hit high schools. It was about an effort to bring that special activity to populations and students that often don't get the opportunity to do any kind of debate. And it was about the role that universities and university students can play in that effort. And I think that if more and more universities were to do this across the country in their areas, we could really have a major impact.